Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Pavel Busha. I am a community manager at CD PROJEKT RED, and I'm joined by my friend Sebastian McBride. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing, my friend?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Tell me, what do you do right now in CD PROJEKT RED, and what was your role in Thronebreaker? Because we're here to talk about Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
Yes, so I'm a senior level designer at CD PROJEKT RED. And on Thronebreaker, I was the level designer, the kind of primary level designer on Thronebreaker.
Nice. For those of you who have not heard about Thronebreaker, it's a mix of an RPG married with a CCG, because we work on Gwent, the Witcher card game, which is our digital card game, which actually came from The Witcher 3, but then was revamped and changed, and then was introduced as a standalone game and a multiplayer game that also has an esports scene. But we thought that it would be nice to tell a really cool story, a story that is set even before Witcher 1, or circling around Queen Meve, because she's a badass character. And we thought, why don't we make an RPG, but also have the CCG, gameplay elements in it? So that was when the idea for Thronebreaker was born. And from that point on, the game released in 2018, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's been a long time ago. I know I played it numerous times. It's currently also on sale on Steam if you guys want to check it out. I highly encourage you to do so. And like I said, we will probably show a little bit of gameplay today. We'll also talk about it. Seb, when it comes to level designing here, what was the overall goal that you guys were going for? Like, how did you start it off? Because I know everything is hand-drawn and is hand-painted. And how do you navigate this world? Because it's not very 3D-ish, right?
No, it's not. It's so when I came on board, I mean, we have the kind of the running joke at the studio. You know, obviously we aim for kind of the stars, so to speak. You know, this project kind of started off a lot smaller than it eventually ended up, which was great because we got to tell this really kind of intricate tale about Queen Meve. People who were familiar with the Witcher lore would obviously know her, but we kind of wanted to flesh her character out. And obviously for those that do follow kind of the lore of the Witcher universe, was that she created kind of like a guerrilla army and went on this fight back against the Nilfgaard invasion. So we really kind of wanted to have the breadth and the scale in order to be able to tell that story. In regards to the level design, it was a lot of back and forward with kind of the narrative team and the art team in regards to kind of potentially what the locations would look like and what do we want to do. Kind of the breakdown, like the top end breakdown, was it was a lot about kind of placement of where certain quests would take place, the layout of the continents that you go to, because we have multiple locations that you visit throughout the game. So it was kind of placement. We use terms like metrics and pacing in level design to kind of really get the sense of grandeur of you kind of exploring these worlds, so everything's not too small and close together. We kind of spread them out. But also we have like secondary quests. Anyone that's played an RPG, you have your primary quests, then you have your side quests, and then kind of one of the things, obviously, as you mentioned, that we wanted to do was the combat in this game is based on card game, right? It's Gwent.
Yeah,
it's like an alteration of Gwent. The rules are slightly different to fit the single player. But we have battles, so like representing Meve's growing army throughout the game. So we have like battles with monsters, because obviously this is in the Witcher universe, and monsters play kind of a critical part in that. But also we kind of have puzzles as well. The card game element really gives us the ability to make these really cool puzzles.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
Yeah, while Seb was talking, I showed you a little bit of Lyria itself, so you can see this is actually one of the first maps that you get to explore as Meve, and it pretty much showcases like whatever Sebastian was talking about previously. Is like we are during the Nilfgaardian invasion, and Queen Meve, she is the ruler of Lyria and Rivia, and she is also part of the Northern Realms. So the Northern Realms in this case are trying to stop the Nilfgaardian invasion, but I mean Nilfgaard is spreading, and it's quite difficult. And like he mentioned, like you're trying to make this army that is has cards as the units, but you also have the characters drawn here. And like mixing these two things is really, really cool, because whenever you feel like you're adding a unit or you're recruiting a unit, actually becomes part of this growing army, and Meve is representing this army on the battlefield. I'll actually go back to the game and walk a little bit around. Like I said, this is the first one. Most of these things, like here, are interactive. Of course, we're in the beginning of the game, so you're also getting some tutorial tooltips here. Things about like morale, because you see the morale of your army here in the top left corner. So yeah, and you also have the current name of the quest next to it. So yeah, we're able to interact with these things.
Yeah, the kind of from a lower perspective, the sense of scale was kind of a critical one, because obviously Meve is representative of her army, right? It's not just her walking around, like say Geralt and
drawn here by blood's scent.
So kind of sense of scale was an interesting one.
To prowl the high roads of my realm,
because we didn't want it too far back. You know, we didn't want this kind of really huge overview of the world. We want it to be, you know, still quite an intimate experience. But so like villages you potentially would go into, you know, we really played around with the sense of scale as to kind of what does how big is a village, you know. It obviously has to be large enough for the player to navigate the space and walk around in that location.
Exactly.
But still representative of kind of this army kind of traveling through the country.
Yeah, so here we got into a fight with some necrophages in the beginning. So you have some elements of the tutorial here. Like this is the CCG element of the game. So you have your cards in hand, you have your graveyard, you have your deck, and you also know that the trophy is a unique type of card that you can have only one. So when you start, it automatically appears on the battlefield. So we have it here.
Broad daylight, with the heat positively sweltering. Have we to do with some manner of sorcery?
We shouldn't exclude the possibility, my lord. And great caution we must exercise.
Yeah, it's really cool because we also have the characters here talking and they're interacting with each other. And we have Reynard, who's also supporting Meve here. He's also one of the key characters. So if you play the game more, you will learn more about these characters. And also, when you're recruiting some of these characters, when you interact with them throughout the story, or you make some choices within the game, they might not like the choices you make, so they come with consequences. And I think we're kind of known as a company for everything that is connected with choices and consequences. So of course, we want to have this element in Thronebreaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, these characters, you know, they are represented by cards as well in the game. So kind of that ties with the narrative and the gameplay element of where if you do certain things as Queen Meve, as the ruler, you know, these certain decisions that you will take, certain characters will not like that and they may leave. Therefore, you lose not only the narrative elements of, you know, where does their story kind of fit in with yours, but also the gameplay elements. You losing those cards and depending on the synergy of how these cards work, that actually, you know, is quite an impactful thing, which was kind of a really kind of key thing that we wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. This is super important. Yeah, and influences how the game goes on for you. So yeah, more tooltip stuff covering like fog is one of the row effects. So it influences these two rows that we have in the game. The difference between Gwent that was in The Witcher 3 and Gwent as we know it now is that it consists of two rows, so melee and ranged. And as you can see, our opponent is a necrophage. Yeah.
Raymond, what is this?
I think as well, like some of the characters in this game.
I can't be sure, Your Grace.
You know,
for
me personally,
such
rank up with some of the best characters in the Witcher games.
Yeah.
Some of these characters are fantastic. You know, we don't do anything by half. You know, we go full in with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, it was for any of the people that are into The Witcher. And I would highly recommend you check this out. Because there are fantastic stories and fantastic characters in this game.
Yeah, also for those that are trying to kind of grasp the basics of Gwent, you win by having more points. So currently, this is a game that has a turn-based system, so our opponent played a Foglet, which is a Necrophage 2, and we played a Lyrian Scytheman, which has 10 points, so it's 10 to 4. And we can pass the turn, and then we'll see what our opponent does in this case.
These carrion eaters. I know them. Appeared on my estate last spring, enticed by the corpses of those of my sheep that fell. Harmless at first, until, that is, they fill their guts. Seemed to become quite powerful then.
Yeah, and the thing about Necrophages is they like to consume, so it's also a Gwent archetype, units which consume other units, and when they consume them from the graveyard, they get boosted by the amount that they ate, pretty much. So yeah.
One of the cool things that I liked what we did in this as well was the boards themselves, like the battlefields that you fight on. These will change depending on
Fearsome they look, true, but they bleed just as we do. Onward! Slay the filth!
Places of this change. Lyria has a certain look about it, and then obviously monsters.
Yeah.
Skeletons and stuff up there symbolize the battlefield.
So fortunate we
So we won the round.
Before they had a chance.
This whole round was actually easy. And then we got to draw 3 cards. Our opponent also draws 3 cards. Our trophy here has a resilient ability, meaning it will stay on the battlefield.
Aye.
And we get to start since we won the previous one, pass the turn. Now this ghoul got boosted because it has food in the graveyard.
They fill their bellies, ma. This doesn't bode well. Oh no, not well at all.
Give me a time.
We have a pretty good advantage here.
Strong as steers they've grown, and they show no fear.
Frenzied, my
obviously
lady.
this is one of the tutorial kind of fights.
They lose all
the
instinct
game,
to survive, feel no pain whatever.
As good as you are, Pavel, in playing Gwent.
Your Majesty, we must give ground. Fall back. We can't win. Must minimize our losses.
You know, we have different difficulty levels in the game because we did want to have a lot of people playing this and experience it. You know, you can play this on easy and just kind of go in for the story if that's what you kind of fancy, or you can stick it on the hardest difficulty. And later in the game, this becomes.
There is no shame in ceding the field when fortunes turn sour.
The average kind of player like myself.
So yeah, actually we're getting a good example of what we should be doing here. When you feel like you cannot commit more into a round and you can't make up the point advantage that our opponent has in this case, which is 34 points and we have 8. It's good to pass. Since we won the first round, it's good for us because it's a best of 3 format, meaning that you need to you know, win at least 2. So if you won the first one, you can pass the second one and then try to win in the third one. So that is what we're gonna actually do. Yeah, and wins are depicted by halves of a crown, so that's important also. So you need 2 halves to have the full crown and get the win. Yeah, remember, losing 1 round does not mean defeat. To win the battle, you must gain 2 victory points. So
victory must be ours now. We shall not retreat. Arms at the ready. Attack! Look there. Yet another abomination.
Ugh, that stench. My salts. Where are my salts?
Yeah, so we got a tutorial example here to play Wagenberg in the beginning because it has an order ability that we can use later. So the orders damage all units on enemy row by this unit's armor amount and lose all armor. Whenever a card appears on this row, gain 1 armor. So yeah, it's good. It's like an engine type of card that you have in CCG, so it's good to play early and then benefit from it.
I love the Wagenberg card. It's like the medieval equivalent of an APC.
Yes.
Arbalist to your command.
Yeah, so we played an Arbalist. He got armor. We used that to ping this unit. So we're slowly gathering the points here. Another Ogle. So a lot of points, 19 to 16. Yeah, good example that you can use Reynard to reuse the ability of our Wagenberg. So you play
We
him,
must trust each other.
and he got it again, so you can ping once again. 33 points. We look okay.
I think we might be winning this one.
Yeah, your opponent has run out of cards and you have a sizable advantage. Your victory is assured, so you can either pass your turn or you can pull out your glorious triumph to the very end. So we can decide. I want to play one more Obelisk
Armor war, sir.
just for fun, just for the bad manners, and then we can pass.
The beasts hadn't a chance against us. Victory is ours.
That was an easy win, but yeah, like Sebastian said here, like this is the beginning of the game. So the tutorial is helping you, so you know what to do, you know how to play it, and of course the difficulty later ramps up. And also we'll probably have, do you think we'll show a puzzle here? I think we'll have an example of a puzzle.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, here we have some loot to collect, like in any decent RPG. So we're collecting resources, which you can see in the top right hand corner of the screen. And yeah, this is something that we can later use to recruit units and also spend it on other cool stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the key things. Obviously, this is an RPG, so that the world you kind of explore, you know, you can go through and just play the main quest if you want, but you'd be obviously, it's an RPG, so you'd be missing out on a lot of content there. So we kind of really wanted to reinforce that sense of exploration and reward you for doing that. So you would find potentially, you know, loot is kind of our baseline one, but we have like treasure chests and stuff which like hidden, and you can find them, and you can figure out to navigate the environment to collect them, and then those kind of range from, you know, money to like maybe card elements. I think you can find, and you collect them and build your army up. Yeah,
exactly. And speaking of army, we actually have a camp in the game, which also is another element that is very RPG like. So you have your royal tent, which you can check letters and maps and things that you have received that are connected to Meve. Yeah, so you can pitch camp and always check this stuff out. It tells you more about the story, important reports about what is happening with Nilfgaard, but also the strays of Spala, which are bandits, which are currently in Lyria. I think we'll get to meet them very soon. So that's one of the things. Then we have our command tent. And this is pretty much a deck builder, right? So we have a recruitment cost of 125 maximum. We can have a minimum of 25 cards within our deck. And we also have things like the banner, which you saw in the first gameplay that we showed you, tonic, which we also use, and then we have our units. So units can of course be crafted here. Of course, you're limited to the amount of cards you can have. So for some bronze cards, you can have, as you can see, like 5 units of a certain type, but for some gold cards, you can only have 1, and they represent the main characters. So we have Coldwell, which you saw in the cutscenes, and Reynard, which you also saw, which are advisors to Meve in the very beginning. We also have our mess tent, and here you can actually talk to these characters. So, for example, we have Reynard here. He has exclamation
A
mark,
bit of respite, Reynard.
and yeah, we can interact with him and talk with him a little bit.
Yes. But if you've any new orders, Your Grace, I can be ready at any...
At ease, Reynard. At ease.
And yeah, we can also just have a nice conversation. This is good to get to know more about the character, also what they believe in. It also tells us a little bit what we should be doing in the game in order to have their support, so they don't go away, or they because I know I remember there was this one character who did not agree with one of my choices later on in the game, and he said he's going. So it was like, it was very sad because I wanted him to stay, and yeah, but it was because it was against his core values. So whatever I did was just bad. He's like, no, I'm out of here. No, I don't
Yeah,
want to
that's absolutely it. It's choice and consequence, right? You make a choice as a player, and it may not happen immediately, but that choice may have a consequence, further on down the line, and this could be hours difference, where it then comes back and you're like, oh, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, and kudos to our illustrators, because as you can see, all these things are hand drawn, and they were animated. Whenever
Don't you find
they're
it
talking,
wearisome
they also
sitting
have
alone?
lip sync, which is really
Wouldn't
cool.
you prefer another's company?
Super
Swapping
important
tails
for
with
me in
you?
any game, that when the character is talking, that they're actually the lips move. So that's something that I always pay attention
Your
to.
concern,
I think another piece of
But I
tech that we
prefer
had in the
silence.
game, and this is such a subtle one, but I know that when the game came out, a lot of people were kind of they were really happy about this. Is if you watch the subtitles on the screen as the dialogue is being said, we don't just show them. I mean, it's more natural for as you're hearing the dialogue for the text to appear. It's just a small touch, but we like those small touches, because those small touches end up just adding to the quality of the game. So yeah,
Has it always been thus with you?
really kind of cool
Ever a
small
man
feature
apart?
that I really
Yeah.
liked.
Yeah, fully agreed with you here.
Quite the contrary, Your Grace. As a youth, I gloried in
And
company.
we are a shooter about
Delighted in
characters,
conversation.
and characters, how the relationships work with each other. So, this is something that potentially you may never see. If you don't come to your tent, I would hope you would. But you could miss all of this and learn this backstory about kind of Reynard and where he comes from and what his motivations are.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super important for a story element, and I think it lets you immerse yourself more into the story, because you really feel attached to these characters. And like I said, I felt bummed about one character moving away, because I liked him a lot, and I was surprised, but I also knew what his motivation was, so it was pretty much me asking
So what was
for
it that changed you?
I think with most
That
characters
delight
that we
nearly cost me
make,
my head.
it's
But do you
on the
truly
surface
not know
level,
the tale,
you
my
think
lady?
they have certain motivations.
How I came to be your departed
but when you
husband's
actually learn
aid.
more about them, it's very seldom, what you actually thought it was.
Yeah.
Characters
I
have
don't.
arcs.
But would gladly
As with all
hear
the
it.
other RPGs that we've ever made, these characters have
I
really
had but
cool
20
arcs a
winters
lot of
behind me
times.
when I enlisted.
So, yeah, anyone
Yet I
that's
was granted
interested
the
in
rank of
RPGs
lieutenant
or
from the
just
start,
the lore of the
not by merit,
universe, then
but by birth.
recommend
The
you check
respect
this out.
of
'cause I think
veteran
you'd really
officers,
enjoy it.
both my peers and
Exactly.
seniors, that they could not grant. Nor did I deserve it. To earn that respect became my driving aim. And to seem wise beyond my years, I began spouting off about the king's decisions. This maneuver Reginald botched, that he failed to think through, and yet elsewhere he'd blundered like a schoolboy.
Talk of that nature could only ever result in misfortune.
It was not long before I was clanking about in shackles. Another officer had reported
It's
me.
also fully voiced.
I was
acted,
charged with lèse majesty.
You can hear, but Pavel, correct. Refresh my memory. We did translation for a lot of different languages.
Yeah, I think it was 11 languages if I remember correctly. So yeah, it was localized to the same languages we have Gwent in. So yeah.
The court-martial took but a quarter of an hour to deliver verdict and sentence. I was guilty of treason, and the noose awaited me. But Reginald first stayed the execution, then ordered that I repeat every word I'd uttered about his person or deeds. Soaked with sweat, my voice cracking, I did as he ordained. Reginald listened, raptly and silently. And when I'd finished, he declared I was right. He then appointed me his personal aide. A clever lad like you, I can always use at my side.
Indeed. Though hardly sharp himself, wisdom in others Reginald both recognized and heeded.
It was then I swore two things. Firstly, never again to wag my tongue like a fool. Secondly, never to betray his trust.
And you never did. Know what he told me moments before he passed? Trust none of them, Meve. Save Reynard. The old sod was right about that, at least. I thank you for sharing that tale, Reynard. Truly.
So we just learned more about Reynard and why he's so quiet, so...
It's time I attended to other matters.
I also, one of the things that I remember talking to our localization and quest department about was just Meve's, the way she speaks. So I'm from the north of England, and there are kind of certain things that we say in the north of England, and obviously Meve being a northern queen, you know, she is royalty, but we kind of wanted to get this grounded feeling. You know, she doesn't speak necessarily the Queen's English, so rather than saying the word nothing, that's very rarely said, it's nout. So she kind of, by having that as a, you know, nout, it kind of, it makes her a bit more believable as to potentially where she's from.
Yeah, I think it's also very important when it comes to our localization team that whenever we're doing something, we like to really give the feel of the time, and also we really focus on the current, you know, like if it's in English, we focus on a specific dialect in this case, or specific slang in this case. So all these things are very, very important in the games that we produce.
I mean, we're seeing Lyria, or the beginning of Lyria now.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, I think this is potentially one of the most idyllic places that we've seen in the Witcher universe. You know, it doesn't seem that threatening at the moment.
Yeah.
Show a bit off it there.
Yeah, we also have a map here when you're talking about the location. So this is our current quest marker. This is where we are. We also unlocked the possibility to fast travel thanks to these beautiful signposts that we have. So yeah, map, of course, hand drawn. You can see it in all its glory. This is where we started. This is where we're at. So, and there's still, as you can see, a lot on this map, and this is just one of the maps, right, that you can explore.
Yeah, these things, like I said before, this project kind of grew and grew, and I'm very happy it did. That we got a chance to make this kind of epic tale about Meve's guerrilla warfare against the Nilfgaardi invasion.
Yeah, it's also something about the games that we produce that the scope is ever growing in this case, and the same thing was with Thronebreaker, because yeah, like you just mentioned, like we started off a little bit, you know, slowly into the thing, but then there was more ideas. Let's venture to this place, let's go there, let's meet this character, and also for those that will be playing the game, you can also meet some of the characters that you will know very well from The Witcher 3, for example, or also characters which we did not explore in The Witcher 3 because, like I said at the beginning, this is set during the second Nilfgaardian invasion, so it's set before the events of the first Witcher game that we did.
So, I think one thing you mentioned before as well, and obviously this is all hand drawn.
Yeah.
So it almost has this 2D effect or a feeling, but it's not. It's like 2.5D, so you can walk behind a lot of the stuff. It's going to create that sense of depth as you're walking around, you know, this world.
Yeah.
All these houses, you kind of walk behind the back of them and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, small thing, but you know, these small things got up.
Yeah, it's also really cool because when you're traveling through the land, you're traversing through the map. You also have NPCs here that kind of are, you know, interacting with you just when they see you. And of course, our quest is here, so actually go up there and see the dialogue.
Soon, Queen and retinue arrived at Hawksburn. The men stationed there they found standing at attention, baking under the blistering noonday sun.
Your Majesty, Count Caldwell.
Stand at ease, Sergeant, and report.
The local peasants we've rounded up in the yard, Your Grace. Expect they might have lent the bandits aid. Yet our courtesy hadn't inspired them. They haven't peeped a word. Might it please Your Grace to summon the hangman? He ties a noose for them, should have them jabbering right quick.
Yeah, just the way they're talking is incredible, right? And it really gives you a feel for
I'll
it.
speak to them first.
Your Majesty, for the Queen to question commoners, why, it's simply not proper.
This kind of also shows you the way that, like, what drives Meve. She's royalty, but she doesn't feel like she cannot talk to anyone. She's very driven, very charismatic. So she's not like the typical northern ruler that just likes to sit on the throne and go to banquets and be important. Of course, she does that too, but she's, as you can see, she's wearing full armor. She's ready to fight, and I really like how she was depicted here because it does her justice.
Whom for?
Yeah, I think so.
shan't
I mean, we
crown
have
and titles for you,
choices.
so no
as we
impediment
said,
do I see.
in the
Yeah.
game.
Lead
You
me
can
to
kind
them.
of
Yeah, so we get to
Bow
meet the
low for your
peasants.
sovereign, Her
you can
Majesty.
give your own like little
Queen
take on
Meve of
potentially
Lyria
what kind
and
of ruler
Rivia.
Meve is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the decisions.
Ha mercy, your grace. We bear no guilt, we simple folk.
Yeah, here we can intimidate him a little bit, and then speak to me, tell me everything, or else, or we can be nice and say, calm your hearts. You have nothing to fear. So I think, what's your choice? How did you actually, when you were playing through the game, how did you play? Did you go
I played full on nice queen. You know the
same as me?
yeah. I don't like being horrible. I think she actually mentions it. Like they're servants, not slaves. You know, you kind of treat them as such. So I think
Exactly.
rule with a firm hand, I guess, but adjust.
Exactly. Firm but just. Okay, so we'll go with calm your hearts.
Calm your hearts, good folk. Though your queen I may be, you
My
are
queen was
subjects,
reasonable,
not slaves.
but that didn't always work out in my benefit.
Yeah, it's true.
Meve extended a hand, the royal ring gleaming upon it. Unfamiliar with protocol, a pleb gripped it firmly and gave it a shake as hearty as a good scrub in the tub.
My, we shall be addressing one another by name afore long.
This is an outrage! Guards! Grab him!
I've all in hand, Caldwell.
Forgive me, your grace.
Meve
I'm not
speaks for
accustomed,
everyone
no.
when she told
Yeah.
Caldwell to shut up there.
Nonsense. You've a firm grip, a spry handshake, and a bold spirit I can respect. What do they call you, man?
Helmer, son of Florence.
Delighted, Helmer. Now understand me, man. I am in dire straits and in need of your aid. So please, answer my queries in full and forthrightly. The bandits, whom do they follow?
Him, my lady. We seen him. No name, just an odd title. The Duke of Dogs, they call him.
Yeah, so we know who's leading the bandits now. It's the Duke of Dogs.
My, a blue blood thoroughbred mutt. Where are he and his hounds bound? Did he say?
That recall, Imogen? What do you name? A Gleaton or something?
Clayton. Lord Clayton. His estate lies to the south.
Sound the horns. Have the men form up. We march at once.
Milady, I'll be no higher for the Duke. He's a good man. Gave us proper brass for the welcome we gave him. Shared what grub he had.
Shut it, louts. The Queen's had her say. Your Grace, your orders. What are we to do with them?
Yeah, so here we need to, make a choice which will actually have consequences, immediate consequences in this case, because we know that the peasants, they help the bandits. So we can either whip some sense into them, which will probably have influence our morale in some way. We can press the men into service and set the women free in this case. So that will give us more recruits, which we can later use to get more units. Or we can just leave them alone. We can not interact with them in any way. There will be no consequences for them in this case, but also we won't be getting anything from it, if I remember correctly.
I think this is where you again kind of tying into what kind of ruler do you want to be. You know, so there's obviously the peasants did. They allowed the Duke of Dogs and the Strays of Spala to stay here and have helped them out. So does that justify you whipping them?
So what would you go with? I normally would press the men into service and set the women free, but
I mean, I think I leave them be. I think I've always left them be simply because the reasoning is actually will be explained in a second, to kind of from a lore perspective of
Let's do it.
Leave them be. The harvest draws close. Hard work. They'll have their hands full.
Oh, milady, thanks be to you, thanks be. I pray Mother Melitele watch over your kind heart.
Pray she watches over yours. Should I hear of you sheltering bandits again, of you lying to my officers, I shall return and put torch to every hut, field and orchard. Understood.
So I think we got a demotion on our morale there, right? I don't think the soldiers were too impressed by that decision.
Yeah, they were not too happy that and it actually showed up briefly here in the left hand corner. But yeah, if you're not ruling with a firm grip, they might think like, well, what is she doing? But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, she told them that, okay, I'll let you off the hook this time because harvest is coming, but if you ever do something like this again, we will come back and then we won't be as merciful as we were this time.
Meve set off toward Lord Clayton's estate at a gallop, her mount knocking the peasants aside as it kicked up a cloud of dust. The folk of Hawksburn spoke of the royal visit long after, albeit ever behind closed doors and in hushed tones.
So yeah, we got that out of the way. But there was something here that I missed. I'm the kind of player that likes to collect as much things as possible, so that's what I always do.
Also, if you head up to the top, obviously there's some wooden loot there you can grab. But yeah, if you just look above, right above us there, there's
a chest here.
Maybe someone was trying to bury a treasure chest there. I think we should try and find that later on. If you're playing the game, then you can figure out a way to get to that.
That's the thing in me, that whenever something is feels like it's out of reach, then I was like, maybe I shouldn't go for it. But it shouldn't be that difficult to get there. Question is through where? Do you remember through where I can get there?
Oh, I know. I mean, I could tell you, but then that'd be spoiling the surprise. But it's further on. If you head up to the temple, then there's a potential graveyard that you have to pass through to get there.
Ah, okay. I think I remember that place. Okay. Notice board.
What is this, Reynard? Bandits attacking royal tax collectors in broad daylight.
They shall pay dearly, Your Grace.
They shall indeed.
Kind of wanted to play with a
Not
bit
only
of kind of objectives with the
Rot
player.
has crept into Lyria,
Quest,
Reynard.
side
My
quests as well.
kingdom has been
But small
poorly
things like that
kept.
kind of help engagement of where it's like, okay, I have this goal, I can see that. That's now my object. I'm gonna go and get that thing.
Yeah. Here we have someone that we can interact with. So yeah, Your Grace, two of your subjects humbly request aid. Thronebreaker and Wilmer, they call themselves. Seems a wagon axle snapped and you need to hurry to the market. What are your orders? So yeah, we can help them. We can give them a little bit of gold in this case, or we can say, sorry, we ain't got time for you. See ya. So I think we'll go with this one, right? 3 pieces of gold.
Yeah, I think bringing the morale back up.
Yeah, morale is important in this case. Yeah, as you can see, morale shifted for us, which is good.
So just a little kind of sneaky one if you go head up. So if you stop here, you'll see on the ground just to the right of you there is a shield with the and that is the Strays of Spala color scheme.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of had little environmental storytelling there, like, oh well, why is there a sword and a shield on the ground? You know, this must have belonged to someone. So then we have the question mark, potentially there was someone in the hut. And now we would potentially lose morale, however we would gain a treasure map.
Huh.
I would say if you're playing this, then go for the treasure maps because they're pretty good.
Okay, so now we see that there's something behind the waterfall, right?
And I'd like to say I'm a traditional level designer. If I see a waterfall, then clearly I've got to put treasure behind it. So.
I totally agree with that. That's the place where you should be leaving loot behind. I also have some resources here. And there's a puzzle here.
Yep, those are puzzle. So I believe this one is the introductions
Yes.
to the way puzzles work.
What is it?
Look out! Rock slide!
Rock slide. And puzzles are also done in the form of battle. And yeah, what you have to do simply is destroy all boulders, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a shortened battle. You're in round 3. You and your opponent both have one piece of the crown, so you need to win somehow here. And we have the boulders. So yeah, there's a special rule set here. Yeah, you have to complete the goal of destroying all boulders in order to get the puzzle done. And yeah, like the tutorial here mentions, they're always they have this little puzzle icon that you saw on the map.
The bluff crumbles! Fall back! Save yourselves!
The thing with the boulders is they
The
will be
grace,
moving
the wagon,
from
we can
row
use it
to
as
row
cover.
and trying to hit
Forward.
us.
We must move it forward.
So they tell us to play the Wagenberg in the melee row.
What now?
And again, this is obviously the tutorial.
This is super easy, even for me, because some of the puzzles on one of the maps, when you get closer to the end of the game, they're super, super difficult, and you really have to think about which card you play after the other. Like, sequencing is key here.
That was kind of one of the things
Far
when
fewer than I
was,
presume. Summon your
when the
comrades,
gameplay
damn
designers
it!
were
Chop
working
chop!
on these, and
Before I reach for my whip.
some of them is, you know, that we didn't want them to be unfair. They are logic puzzles.
Arbalist, your command.
When you normally complete them, you're like, oh, okay, I get the reason why this. We're not trying to cheap you out of a victory. Yeah, they are fair. They just, it's a logic puzzles you gotta figure out.
Armor wars.
So we got one boulder.
I think the age-old question of how our crossbows are defeating big boulders, I have no idea. No idea.
Use the
Sure,
wagon
there's a-
now!
Yeah, so we boosted the wagon. It has 5 armor right now, so yeah, we can destroy the final boulder easily.
We've come through, Reynard. I thank you.
Yeah, and I also like simple things in these
The walls of
puzzles,
the temple
like the
collapsed.
fact that
The fortress is doubtless
you're protecting
damaged by
Meve
something.
with your units on
Or
the front
someone.
row, and the boulders, they're slowly
Now
falling
we can
down
do
on
here.
you, and they're trying
We
to
ride
destroy
on.
them before they actually reach her, which is, yeah, it just makes total sense in this case.
And here, obviously, you know, we've changed the environment slightly to kind of indicate, all right, well, there was a landslide here, you know, that will have narrative kind of repercussions later on as you figure out why that happened.
Yeah, also, since we mentioned, like, this is the tutorial, as you can see, the map is slowly opening up a little bit for us. It's becoming less linear than in the beginning, because in the beginning, you're kind of, we want you as a player to go straight and, you know, get these certain objectives to learn more about the game and what you can expect from it. And here, you're seeing the map open up, so you can actually start, you know, moving around, trying to collect more stuff, looking for some side quests, interacting with other NPCs.
A peasant cart loaded
Yeah, it was,
with a
very
heap
kind of
hay
important for me
came
as a
rattling down the
designer
road from
to
the opposite direction.
kind of direct the player, so if
Bellowed
you
Count
wanted to
Caldwell,
just do
standing
the
in his
quest,
stirrups.
then you-
Make way
you
for
follow
your
the grid.
queen!
The
That's
peasants
kind of
obediently
the way it
turned
goes.
their
However,
cart into the
there are
roadside
side
nettles.
paths here, there, and
As she
everywhere.
passed, Meve
But also-
glanced towards it and froze.
I
Atop
wanted to
the hay
have
bale lay a
like,
badly
key elements on
wounded
just the
man
corners of the
gripped by
screen.
fever.
So
The
just to
thick,
kind of draw your
sweet
attention
stench
to it.
of
So if
rot
you're walking, you see
wafted
something
from
off to
his
the side.
bandaged
It's
legs.
like, okay, I'm gonna go
Gods.
check that.
Who did this to him?
Meve asked.
Bandits?
Nay, milady.
Replied the cartman.
'Twere a beast.
So yeah, we learned that there's a problem here. It's not bandits, it's actually
Out to the
beasts.
east, down Wetterton Way, lies a boneyard, old as the elves, they say.
The peasant continued.
Cletum was setting snares round about there. Came running back to us, drenched in blood, rattling on about a long-haired wench come climbing out a grave. We's taken him to the good sisters of Melitele here on Bridge. Perhaps they can help him.
I'm certain they can. And will.
Replied the queen. Though just looking at the wounded wretch, she knew he'd expire before nightfall.
God speed you on your journey.
Yeah, if you know something about the Witcher universe, that it's very grim. Like life here ain't easy. You have Nilfgaard on the one hand, you have bandits, you have monsters. Everything put together is not
The
good.
Queen whistled, and her mare resumed its trot.
Shall I send for a Witcher, Your Grace?
Caldwell asked.
One of those freaks should make short work of the monster.
Until we apprehend the bandits, I shan't allow a single soul to leave our company, even on such an important mission as finding a Witcher.
Meve replied.
Again,
Many
just
who
it's
did
a
would be
small
captured
thing,
at
you know,
once.
the
But
calling for
if
Witcher
fate brings
to
us near
deal with these
Wetterton,
monsters.
perhaps
but
we'll see to this monstrous Harridan
sells
ourselves.
the idea
Your
of
Grace,
people have played
we've only
the
just
Witcher
fought
series,
beasts
then
and
they
scarcely
know full
escaped
well
with our
how people
lives.
feel about the
This
Witchers.
she-beast will take
Yeah.
a silver sword. Magic formulae.
Yet a dozen arbalists will have to suffice.
It's
The
just a
Queen
small
said,
comment and
calmly,
in
but
some
firmly.
dialogue, but
And please, Caldwell,
helps
do
ground
stiffen your spine a bit.
the
Now onward.
Thronebreaker within the Witcher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for those that you know, like a nice little nod towards the characters that they know, or just Witchers in this case. I mean, this is the best one, because it's like, oh yeah, Witchers are here, so worry not. And like you said, it also shows pretty much the overall concept of how humans perceive Witchers as mutants, and also there's this whole element of you know, we have elves and dwarves here, and also how they are perceived by the humans. So it gives you, you know, more context into the background of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think with any kind of, I wouldn't say side story, because this is Meve's story, you know, but kind of a side story from the mainline Witcher games, you know, it's definitely one of the goals was to enrich the world.
Mm-hmm.
I feel we did that quite well.
Exactly. And here, that's when the tutorial finishes. So we're pretty much here now in free roam. And if I remember correctly, you told me that we can get to that treasure if we go through here, right?
Homage to the gods.
Yep.
You
Yep.
shall
You head up
be
towards
rewarded.
the temple. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we can update our map with new markers. And we can proceed through here.
And again, just a little bit of environment storytelling, you know, obviously certain damage has been
Travelling the
happening
high
here.
road, they heard the bells of a
Let's show
temple
that
to
on
Mother
the map.
Melitele, situated at some distance. Meve turned towards Reynard.
What have we today? A sacred feast?
Not that I recall, Your Grace.
The Queen's brow darkened, her hands clenched into fists on her reins.
Then they sound the alarm. Follow me.
Stained glass shards glinted in the grass. Bits of down, ripped from quilts, wafted through the air. The priestesses, gathered in the yard, were seeing to wounded pilgrims, setting toppled, oft beheaded or armless statues back on their feet.
What happened here?
The Strait of Spala fell upon us.
Sighed the prioress.
Stole the offerings, the monstrances, holy books. My lady, I implore you, come to our aid, recover what's rightly ours.
Ever clever, Meve's scouts soon discovered the bandits' tracks. They led to some thick hazel groves east of the temple. The perfect place to hide, or to lie in ambush.
It's all come clear now. Sabotage. 'Twas the bandits who weakened the walls.
Yeah, so more context into the strays here. We have some loot here. We can actually go. So this, no, we have to go here, here. There we go.
Kind of as you find this loot, obviously this is you can use to upgrade your camp and the war efforts.
And there we actually made it. Nice. So yeah, we also have some really cool loot which we can later transfer to your multiplayer version of Gwent. So yeah, that's also really cool, because some things you can only unlock through Thronebreaker when it comes to some premium cards and vanity. So also these two things are of course tied together. Nice. So we got that, and I think this is where we'll stop. So I do not want to spoil more of the game for those that are interested in, and of course checking it out for themselves. Seb, man, it was really awesome to have you. We went through some of the basics.
Pleasure.
We went through the basics. You also got some insight from the man himself who's working on the game. So yeah, thank you all. I highly encourage you to check out the game, download it, get it. It's all part of this Tabletop Fest, which is happening right now, and it's on sale also on Steam. So yeah. Any final statements, closing words from you, my friend?
I think just because it's been a while since we finished and released Thronebreaker, it's always kind of nice whenever I see people playing it and kind of they're like, oh my god, this is just not what I expected at all.
Exactly.
And they love it. That was kind of one of the things for me was I'm so proud about with this game is it, like I said, it added to the Witcher universe and told its own story. But
exactly.
I think if people dig The Witcher, then I think you're really going to enjoy this.
Fully agreed. All right, man. Thank you. And yeah, check out the game. Highly encourage you guys. See ya.